Hello everyone. So first I would like to say welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I appreciate it. So today we will be talking a little bit about organizational theory and how it is used to design structure and make changes when needed. In addition, we will address organizational effectiveness and how it is measured. So our time here today is a little limited, so think of it like maybe like a crash course, if you may. Let's start with the term, defining the term organization. We deal with organizations every day. It's possible that we never really even thought about the definition of organization. It's just something that's there. If I ask many of you, you'd probably just say it involves some kind of organizing. Some kind of organizing takes place. What do you think? Organizations are actually a part of our everyday life. We wake up, we turn on the news, which is brought to us by an organization. I know that's the first thing that I do in the morning, and then on our way to work we go pick up some coffee, which is made by an organization. Then we go to work for an organization, and after work we go shopping, we attend some kind of event. All of these are organized by organizations. That is, and we grow up with organizations. Actually, we meet the organization from the moment that we're born, given that we're born in a hospital, which is an organization, and our relationship with organizations continue until the day we die. So it's actually safe to say that organizations are the core of modern society. So most simply, an organization is a tool people use to coordinate their actions to obtain something they need or desire. In other words, it is a means for satisfying human needs and wants. So now let's talk a little bit about value and how it's created from a general perspective. First, let's define the organizational environment, because that's where we create the value within. The organizational environment is a set of forces and conditions that operate beyond an organization's boundaries, but in some way they affect the ability to acquire and use the resources and in turn create value. So the way an organization allocates skilled individuals and resources determines the value that will be created in that environment. Inputs include resources such as raw material, machinery, knowledge, money, capital, and so on. Anything that you can think of like as an investing power that goes inside of the organization, that's used within the organization, is what in turn creates the value that comes out after. So an organization inputs its needs to create the goods and services. When the input is transformed into the goods and services, in other words, we can call these needs and wants, this becomes the value in the long run. The goods and services get into the market, they go into the environment, people buy these and use them, and this is called the conversion process. The organization makes money, and they can invest that money into, again, creating more goods and services, meeting needs and wants, and the cycle is an endless cycle that just is continuous, it never ends. So I work in a privately funded institution in higher education, and I've been with the same institution for over 5 years. Let's use my work as an example here to talk about the environment, the goods and services that are produced, the needs and wants that are met, and how it moves into the environment, how it circulates in the environment, and what happens to during the conversion process. So it's an organization. We can call this an organization. It has skilled individuals allocated within to produce goods and services. And we meet the needs and wants of our students, so we can also refer to them within this example as our clients for the sake of this example. So the goods and services that we produce here is that we give them knowledge and we educate them, so in turn they can go into the environment and they can join their own circulation, if you may, by joining other organizations, because they also become skilled individuals that will be allocated within other organizations. So there are several individuals involved in this conversion process: teachers, maintenance, HR, registrar, office of events, student clubs, and so on. Anyone that you can think of in the institution setting. We all work together, we train and educate the students, we provide them with knowledge, which is our goods and services of any, so they become college ready, job ready, they become skilled individuals, as I said earlier, and this in turn ensures that they will go into the environment as ready workers. I apologize for my cat, by the way. She really enjoys these crash courses and lessons that we have. So if at any time she joins in the conversation, please just ignore her if you can. And so she's a completely black cat. Probably all you're going to see in the background are going to be two huge green eyes and a shadow. So for the cycle, we said for us the cycle is continuous as well, because you constantly get new students, you train them, you educate them, you give them knowledge, you send them out into the world, and they become part of another organization. So how do we measure the effectiveness? Well, this is going to vary per industry. So for my industry, let's talk about how we would measure the effectiveness. So we would look at data. For example, we'd look at retention numbers, graduation rates. We would gather information from alumni and so on. In addition, feedback is going to be vital here, because feedback we're going to get from the faculty and staff, also from current students and alumni. We use surveys, for example, to gather such data. Then we can determine what needs to change or advance, and depending on what we determined, we can start thinking about strategies and how we're going to implement this change. And for that, we need organizational theory. So what about policies? A policy is made based on the mission and the vision of the company. So a mission is defined as goals that explain why the organization exists and what it should be doing. So in other words, why it's there in the first place. And a vision, you can kind of think of it like a strategic plan that we use to realize the mission. Like, who are we as an organization? What is our history? Where did we come from? What do we stand for? Where are we today? And where do we want to go from here? So the mission and vision are going to fit together like puzzle pieces. You're going to have the mission to guide you, and the vision is going to be how you're going to implement this mission. So for example, we live in a diverse environment, and everyone equally represented within the work setting is something that you would want to look at. Evaluating this is going to show us whether or not we need change in this respect, and a policy is going to be worked on within this framework. And you need to be able to make these changes in advance to be able to meet everyone's needs and make sure everyone is comfortable, it's a safe environment for everyone, and everyone feels equally represented within the environment. So if I were to select a policy to work on today, I think the best example would be the DEI policy. In fact, within my organization, we have been currently working on this to make sure that we are in the right space where everyone feels equally represented and safe. And I'm part of that committee, and we have been meeting extensively to be able to make the changes necessary so that everyone feels comfortable and the stress is eliminated in any way if it is to occur. And we're living in times that change is constant. I'm sure you will agree with me here, especially since pandemic times. Change has become a part of our everyday life. And for an organization to survive, it needs to embrace this change and adapt to the modern times and whatever the needs and wants are at that moment in time. If an organization becomes a status quo, if you may, it's not going to survive. It may die or be taken over by another organization, and that's already adapting to the modern times and meeting contemporary needs and wants. Example would be, for example, Blockbuster video stores. Do any of you even own a video today, or a DVD player even? Many people probably don't even know how to use a DVD, not to mention video. So to grow and advance, an organization must adapt its needs to the modern contemporary society. Again, think about the pandemic and how much our habits, for example, our shopping habits, have changed since 2020. So in conclusion, a theory provides a means for us, and it helps us identify problems that need to be resolved. As for organizational theories of design and change, they offer ways to us to evaluate how an organization functions and how it is affected within the environment, both internally and externally. It can be said that organizational theory helps us create a map, if you may, for us to follow moving forward. As we discussed previously, change is constant, and this new post-pandemic world, and we all now have to adapt to survive and grow, especially organizations. Organizational theory is how we get to the state of adaptation and survival. So in other words, you can kind of see them like the building blocks of the modern society. That brings us to the end of today's presentation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. This has been a pleasure, and have a most wonderful rest of the day.